bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So tonight I want to get into another area that I really want to talk more about. As I've said, it's been like a 22, 23-year journey for me into, looking at Brazil from the perspective of race. And I've seen quite a few changes over these last few decades. I want to look at one area that I really like to cover is just the role of Afro-Brazilians in the media, in terms of being in films and television series and novellas. It's one of those areas where you can just gauge, how does Brazil see its Black population? I've been of the opinion for years that the Afro-Brazilian population has been treated like, second class citizenry, right? For so many years, in almost every area that I searched, you just found that visibly, we'll say, persons of visible African ancestry, because when you're dealing with Brazil, it gets kind of complicated when you just say somebody is Black. But, people who you can just look at and say, okay, I can see this person is of visible African ancestry. And when you look for this phenotype, you see in just about every category that they're either invisible, there's just in secondary roles, particularly when we look at the media situation. It's just it's a situation where if you see Black Brazilians in film and television production, it's in a very stereotypical manner. Uh, uh, People have reported on this for years on, what they call novellas in Latin America, soap operas. They talk about how Black characters in Brazilian novellas, when they present Black characters, they often just thrown in there as just like extras. These characters will have no type of family history. They don't have any type of protagonism in the feature. They're just almost just thrown in there as like an afterthought. It's like 20th or 21st century, they still want to treat Afro-Brazilians as if they're still enslaved, and we're in May now. And, May 13th is often recognized as the day in which Brazil ended the slavery era, being the last country in the Americas to end the slavery era after almost, I think it was about 350 years of slavery. Again, Brazil imported the most enslaved Africans of all countries in the Americas, bringing in anywhere from 8 to 12 times more Africans than the United States did. So if you want to get a gauge for how a country sees its population, just take a look at the television. How are Black Brazilians treated on television? It leaves much to the imagination. And just looking at novellas, it's a sure sign. When you look at some of the characters that have been featured in the novellas over the years, it's like, okay, this is how they see Black people, right? So what areas are there that you can actually say Black Brazilians have a prominent role? And, you can look in the world of what they call football, or what they call soccer, what we call soccer. And you'll see that Brazil became a global soccer power when it started to include its Black players. This is, when you look at the history of soccer in Brazil, you see some of the same aspects that you see of sports in the United States. Jackie Robinson breaking the race barrier in Major League Baseball in the 1940s. The question of why didn't the NFL, why was it so rare to see Black quarterbacks for so many decades? That's slowly changing. In Brazil, and Black coaches also, and particularly in the NFL, you find these same dynamics going on in Brazil in the soccer world, where you don't find many Black Division A Black coaches of some of the top soccer teams in the country, and you find obviously very, very little ownership, And there's also this stereotype about black players being goalies in the country, particularly when it comes to the national team that goes on to the World Cup. There's a long stigma attached to the black goalie. I'm not going to get into that. Well, I've actually touched on that and in some of my posts on the blog, but today I want to focus on this film that's being prepared to be released by Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime prepares release of film An Unforgettable Year. Of course, that's translated from the Portuguese. Is directed by popular actor Lazaro Hamels, and it features popular singer Isa in her first film role. Now, why is this important? Let me get into first just the article itself. It's kind of a short piece, but I wanted to talk about it because over the last few years, it's following a trend that I've really noticed, like particularly in the last 5 or 6, maybe 10 years, in terms of Black Brazilians in film and the increase in Black protagonists and Black cast on television, particularly on the nation's top television channel, Rede Global. So let me discuss this first before I discuss the reason why films like this are important. So Amazon Prime prepares for the release of the film An Unforgettable Year, directed by actor Lazaro Hamels, featuring singer Isa in her first film role. So let's get directly into this, and I'm going to be giving my feedback throughout this article. So this is a picture of the trailer, film set in Sao Paulo. Ano Inesquecível, An Unforgettable Year, will have 4 films for the public's joy. Today's article I get information courtesy of the UAI and Mundo Negro websites. This is a picture of singer Isa appearing as an actress in this film directed by Lazaro Hamels. So back in December of 2021, Amazon Prime Video announced that singer Isa would make her first appearance as an actress along with longtime MPB artist Lulu Santos. MPB being translated, it means Brazilian popular music. So both of these people are famous in the Brazilian music world. Lulu Santos has been out since, I don't know, maybe the mid to late 70s. And Isa has, she's been slowly making a name for herself. I think she's been out less than a decade now, maybe 6 or 7 years. But she has the makings of being a major star. But of course, as I've talked about this in previous videos, like I notice a trend with a lot of pop singers, particularly the Black ones, that it just seems like they're willing to bear it all in order to get the fame and fortune. And it just becomes a question of how far are you willing to go to get the prize, and what does the image speak about Black women in order to be successful on the global scene? So Lulu Santos and Isa, they're part of the cast of the musical film Ano Inesquecível, Outono, meaning translated into English as An Unforgettable Year, the autumn version. It's a feature film directed by the popular actor Lazaro Hamels, seen here. It's in a seat, he's in a role of director in this particular film. Anybody who's paid attention to Brazilian television over the last 10, 15 years will be familiar with this guy, Lazaro Hamels. He's, arguably the top Black actor in Brazil. And, he's making his way over into the director's seat. Set in the city of, okay, so this is the one of the stars of the film. I think she goes by the name of Gabs. Probably her name is probably Gabriela something, as that's a really common name in Brazil. So set in the city of Sao Paulo, the film centers on the story of Ana Julia, played by Gabs again, and João Paulo, which is played by the actor Lucas Leto, an unlikely couple. And this is Lucas Leto. So these are the two that you see in this trailer right here. They being the stars of this particular Amazon Prime film. Okay. Let's see. So in the storyline, Anna hates music and all she wants is to get an internship and attain some level of stability to help her father at home. So some scenes from the film here. João Paulo is a young street musician who dreams of making a living off of his art and talent. According to the plot, Anna hates music because of a trauma she experienced with her singing mother Patty, or in Brazil, how they pronounce it is Pachi, played by singer Isa. So you have another scene from the film. Passion arises between the two and in one of the most important areas of Sao Paulo, Avenida Paulista. The capital of Sao Paulo state and the nation's economic engine is the perfect setting for the challenging journey they'll both have to face to stay together, according to the description released by Amazon Prime. The storyline is based on a short story by Babi Duet and directed by arguably Brazil's top black actor, Lazaro Hamels. Looking at the trailers and a lot of Brazilian films that I've seen over the years and the trailers that I've seen, a lot of the films are set in Sao Paulo. And as I lived in Sao Paulo for almost a decade, there's a lot of areas that I'll see in the film that I'm like, okay, wow, I'm familiar with that area. This description here talks about Avenida Paulista. It's like one of the most important streets in Sao Paulo. I mean, everything is on Avenida Paulista. It's one of the top. I mean, arguably not just in Sao Paulo, but one of the most important avenues in the entire country. I'm very familiar with Avenida Paulista. When I worked there as a translator, I would catch the bus and the subway to Avenida Paulista every day, and it just brings back memories. Anybody who's worked on or near Avenida Paulista knows that it's probably not a good idea to try to drive, depending on where you're coming from, because everybody's trying to get to Avenida Paulista on the weekends, but or rather on the weekdays, but also the weekends. And traffic is always backed up. And the high cost of parking, it just led me to believe, okay, it's better to take public transportation if I'm going to be going to Avenida Paulista every day. So just a lot of scenes that I saw just in the trailer of this film and several other films that are set in Sao Paulo, even though novellas, it's like, okay, I know where that is. That's 9 de Julio, Avenida de Julio. I know that's uh, Avenida Paulista, that's Avenida Faria Lima. That's that's a República. I always forget how to pronounce this area near downtown. Anhangabaú. It took me a while to learn how to pronounce that, but these are all areas in Sao Paulo that I just became accustomed to because if I wasn't there on the weekend, I would pass through on my way to work or whatever. So a lot of memories as I look at some of the settings, in the trailer that I watched of this film. The film also features actor Bukasa Cabello, who is well known in Afro-Brazilian entertainment circles. Bukasa, this man right here, is the son of one of the country's top anthropologists, Cabello Munanga. This is father and son here. Bukasa Cabello here and Cabello Munanga here, father and son. The two are originally from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. When he and his father moved to Brazil, Bukasa was 10 years old. I wouldn't say he's a top star or anything, but people know his face in Brazil, even if they don't know him by name. He's appeared in a number of novellas, films, television series. The cast also includes actors Larissa Luz. Larissa Luz is actually a very popular singer from the state of Bahia. I remember seeing her in a really good production about the life of the singer Elza Soares, who died, I think, last year. Elza Soares, I have to talk about her one day. She was considered the BBC named her the singer of the century, not just in Brazil, but of the whole world. That was an incredible how can we say compliment? I mean, just think about all the great American singers. And the BBC chose Elza Soares as the top singer of the 20th century. I saw Larissa Luz in a film featuring like 7 black women that told the story of Elza Soares. Let me see. Actor Pedro Blanc, rapper Rafael Ganem, Vitor Fernando, and Enrico Cardozo. The Ano Inesquecível franchise will feature 4 films, beginning with Ano Inesquecível Outono, meaning autumn. Then you have the one in Inverno, meaning winter. Primavera is spring. And ending with Verão, meaning summer. So you've got 4 featured here in this ad right here. You have 4 feature films set in different times of, different seasons of the year. Again, starting with spring, summer, fall, and winter. So this is the particular film that I'm talking about today. This is the one for autumnal or autumn. The second part of the quadrilogy will premiere on June 9th on the streaming platform Amazon Prime. Lazaro Hamels is well known to Brazilian audiences as an actor of television, film, and theater productions, and also made a name for himself after directing the critically acclaimed film uh, Medida Provisória, which has the storyline of the Brazilian government sending its black citizens back to Africa. So this is the film here. It's highly acclaimed. There was one website that said that this is Brazil's best film since City of God or Cidade de Deus. I know anybody who's into Brazil probably remembers. It's one of those films, Cidade de Deus, that anybody who gets into Brazil is going to see that film. It was you know, it didn't make a whole lot of money, but it was an international hit. So via Instagram, Lazaro Ramos said that unlike his first feature film, Medida Provisória, which talked about pain and challenges, this film talks about love and music. I really wanted this is Hamos talking. He says, I really wanted you all to pay attention to everything that's said in these little pieces of the movie. After Medida Provisória, which talked about the pains and challenges of our resistance, this film talks a lot about love with a lot of music in a young language and with a cast that excites me with every scene I see. Today, the publicity of this project begins, and I really want you to watch it starting June 9th on Prime Video, says the director. So again, like I said, this is a short piece talking about this film, but I thought it was important because it's something that I've been noticing over the last few years is that you're seeing this increase of Afro-Brazilian actors, Afro-Brazilian directors, screenwriters. They're starting to get way more opportunities than what they had when I first started studying Brazil. So this is something that talking about film and television is something that I've covered, quite a bit on the blog, and I wanted to discuss a little bit of that here on the YouTube channel as well. So to understand some of what's going on today, I've got another piece coming up that's talking about it's a historic time at the country's top television network, Rede Global, or the global television network. Right now, there are three novellas or soap operas that have either large black cast or black leading characters on these novellas. And I said that's groundbreaking because, as I said, as I've studied, how novellas are presented, just the black role on those novellas just left much to the imagination. One of the country's top black Brazilian, one of the country's top black directors, Joel Zito Araújo, actually released a book and a documentary based on his dissertation that analyzed the role of black Brazilians in Brazil's most popular novellas over the period of, I think, like 37 years or something like that. So what's going on right now is something that's for anybody who's studied the Brazilian media, this is groundbreaking. If we just look at some of the opportunities that are coming across these days, I mean, it's not just global. With the with the availability of different media outlets, the door is slowly opening for opportunities for Afro-Brazilians. So, for example, there have been a number of series and films put out by Netflix. It's not just an American thing. Netflix arrived in Brazil, and this is giving more opportunities to Afro-Brazilians that we're seeing. I've seen a few films like, wow, what's going on? I've just seen the number of films that either have a black leading character or a large black cast or even a majority black cast, something you just did not see, just 20 years ago. So Netflix has jumped in the game. Netflix is available obviously all over the world, and black Brazilians are getting a little bit, I would say quite a few more opportunities with Netflix, particularly getting in the television series and the film game. Then you have HBO Max has finally arrived in Brazil and is bringing good Roles is bringing good works with leading characters by black artists. And then Netflix in Brazil, you can, or HBO Max, you're going to see films with American films with subtitles and overdubs in Portuguese, but also HBO Max is doing productions for the Brazilian audience starring Brazilian actors and actresses. So HBO Max, Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, who are all opening up the game a little bit more, presenting opportunities for all types of Brazilian actors, but specifically Afro-Brazilians who've been shut out. I'm not going to say completely shut out, but just being accustomed for years to having these minor roles in television series and novellas. Um, so here you have Amazon releases a campaign to support Black entrepreneurs and Black authors. All right. Amazon presenting opportunities to Black, well, Afro-Brazilian actors and just creators, right? I just spoke about Lazaro Hamels, who's directing the film that I was talking about today. And it was a major announcement. I don't know if I think that was last year where he announced that he was actually leaving the global television network where he had built his career. Lazaro Hamels on Amazon Prime Video. It's a toast to the future of one of the most complete artists of Brazil. So this is from October of 2021. It said after 17 years of work at the global television network, the actor is ready to leave to make his mark on the streaming platform, starting with the new film Ano Inesquecível Outono, which is what I'm talking about today. This is Lazaro Hamels, and I'm not sure if this is the film or the miniseries O Paió. Like I said, anybody who's watched Brazilian film and television over the last, I don't know, 15, I guess his career, 17, 18, 19 years at this point, everybody's familiar with Lazaro Hamels. Now, what I think happened is that he signed a contract with Amazon Prime Video because it gave him the capacity to get into the directing game. Actually, maybe more opportunity, because I know one of the films that I just mentioned, was it Medida Provisória? I'm not sure who that film is put out by, but I think he gets a little bit more creative freedom to be able to create over Amazon Prime in ways that he probably wasn't given at Global. And after initially announcing he was leaving the Global, I think he's just doing both. I think he actually returned back to Global, and he's going to be doing like his own independent productions outside of Global. And I think he returned to, that's his bread and butter. Everybody wants to be associated with Global. It's the most powerful media platform in Brazil. And it's not just a Lazaro Hamels. Like I said, these opportunities are open up for Black Brazilians all over the place, and just Brazilians in general. Well-known actress Camilla Pitanga abandons Rede Global again, and goes to HBO Max. So, Camilla Pitanga, she's been in the game for probably 2 decades. I think even longer than that. I think she's been in the game since at least 96. Of course, she's the daughter of a longtime actor, Antonio Pitanga. And she just recently, she signed a contract with HBO Max. And besides the work that she's going to be doing as an actress on the streaming platform, she's also going to take on the role as executive producer in some of the new projects. So Camila Pitanga is also taking advantage of some of these new opportunities coming for Brazilians who are in the media game. Yuri Masal, this guy right here, some years ago, stand-up comedy started catching on in Brazil, and I'm like, wow, it's how many how many decades late that people started getting into stand-up comedy. I remember I went to a couple of shows when I first started living in Sao Paulo, like, wow, stand-up is just coming here. And besides the regular stand-up, there was a group of Black comedians who came together, and they formed like a famous group of Black comedians. And one of the biggest stars that come out of that group was Yuri Masal. So let me see, it says here, the debut of his special Ledo Engano, and he becomes the first comedian, first Black comedian in all of Latin America to have his own comedy special on the streaming giant Netflix. So again, he approaches in his own stage special, he talks about racism, religion, and family in his Netflix special. So again, Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, what HBO Max are all bringing more opportunity to Afro-Brazilians that was just not there just 15, 20 years ago. I mean, just last decade. This is just starting to open up. YouTube is another platform, obviously, where a lot of Black Brazilians are getting their opinions out there. They're putting their work out there. And through their work through YouTube, it's leading to other all types of just work contracts with multinational companies. It's really an exciting time right now for what I'm seeing. So again, to understand why this is all important, this article from 2016, it says, if Black Americans are fighting for full equality, why are Black Brazilians fighting to hold on to crumbs? This is a time when uh, African Americans were considering boycotting the Oscars of that year because of a lack of recognition for Black actors and just filmmakers or whatever. I'm sure some of you remember that. It's hard to believe that's over 7 years ago. Let me see what else. Black artists from Brazil criticized the Oscars that only nominated whites, but what is the next step? So, Black actors and directors were talking about the exclusion of, Black media personalities at the 2016 Oscars. Even more important, why no Black Brazilian actor will ever boycott the nation's top TV network, Rede Global, because, as I said, Rede Global, or the Global Television Network, is so important. Everybody wants a piece of Global. You make the most money, you'll be on the most prominent television programs. And so, being on Global and being in Brazil, that's the best opportunity that you had. Global is part of the film, is one of the biggest film producers in the country as well. So nobody wants to burn their ties with Global. But I'm just saying, with the oncome of these streaming platforms, YouTube, and then some people are going independent completely, the door is opening up for opportunity for Afro-Brazilians across the board. So it's a good thing to see. The other thing I want to mention here, okay, as I said, Lazaro Hamels, I think he has 2 films under his belt as director now. But that's another thing that I've seen over like the last decade, is that you've seen this rise of Afro-Brazilian film directors. When I first started studying Brazil, there were only like, a handful, Jefferson De, Joel Zito Araújo. There was a couple other names. But over the last decade and a half, I'm going to say really specifically over the last decade, you've seen the rise of not just Black male directors, but also Black female directors. This article here from 2016, Behind the Cameras, Black Directors Emerge on Brazilian Audiovisual Scene. And in this piece about necropoetics and Black cinema, Afro-Brazilian directors from the state of Minas Gerais are making history as the new voices of Brazilian film. What's intriguing about this whole thing is that a lot of Afro-Brazilian film directors would get accolades, recognition, nominations for awards at other popular like film award ceremonies overseas, particularly Germany and France, where they were just being totally ignored in Brazil, in their own country. Other countries around the world were recognizing their work. Some of the works of some of these directors have even been featured in film festivals in the United States. So, things are changing, things are improving. It's still, relatively at a snail's pace, but as I've said, it's something that I've noticed. What else? Is anything else here I want to mention? Executive order is being hyped as the best Brazilian film since City of God. Plot surrounds Brazilian government attempting to deport Blacks back to Africa. Again, this was Lazaro Hamels' film project. He sat in as a director. So, this is just something that I wanted to talk about. The piece that I did today was a short article, but it's still the point that I wanted to just mention, how you're starting to get just, 2 decades ago, it would have been almost impossible to see a film where you had a Black woman and a Black male as the leading figures and, connected romantically in the film. I did a piece some years ago about novellas, where it's not just novellas, it's film, where if there is a Black actor or actress, he's always going to be paired in a romantic setting. He or she will be, romantically paired with a white partner. So that's another thing to speak on, not only Black protagonism in the film, a large black cast, but also leading roles by a black man and black woman, and also set in a romantic setting. It's just something that you just didn't see 2 decades ago. So I say again, things are coming along slow, but they are slowly changing. So with that said, I'm gonna end this video here. As you know, as I conclude all of my videos, if you like this particular article, this particular video, uh, give me a thumbs up, like this video, share this video, comment on this video. Just curious to know what your thoughts are. I'm going to be wanting to talk more about the rise of Black Brazilians in film and more prominent roles in television in future videos. So consider subscribing to this channel. I think I got a lot of exciting things coming up. Click on the notification bell so you get my videos when I first post them. And with that said, I'm going to end this video here and invite you all to stay tuned for the next video.